What's up, everyone? It is Saturday. Welcome. A couple things here before we get started. The Labor Day sale ends in 2 days, 9 hours, 5 minutes, and 4 seconds. And this Labor Day sale are all 6 of my courses. It's the complete Beato method for $109. This is a great deal. Not only does it help you improve as a musician, but also helps support the channel. It's basically the last 40 some odd years of me teaching things here, starting back when I was out of college in the late 80s. It has music theory for songwriters. I'll go through the 6 courses. These are all video courses, but some of them have components like my ear training course that has modules for teaching that will go over things and will test you when you're working at intervals and chords and chord progressions, all that kind of stuff. My Beato Book Interactive has things to click on. So you see the examples that are in tab and written out, and then also will play the audio examples. There's a 500-page PDF and lectures that go on with it, but it is a video course. Ear training course, the beginner guitar. If you haven't played before, the arpeggio masterclass. We're going to talk about arpeggios today. The arpeggio masterclass has many in-depth fingering showing you how to learn the neck and learn your arpeggios everywhere. And then Quick Lessons Pro is basically how to apply these ideas, and it's more of an instructional, 5-hour instructional course that breaks down a lot of my Quick Lessons Pro, my Quick Lessons things that I did on YouTube and Instagram. Another thing, so I've got some live shows coming up. Vanderbilt University, September 11th. Please come. There's a few tickets left. Love to see you guys there. It's at the Blair School of Music. Then on September 25th in San Francisco at the Presidio Theater. All these tickets are available on my website at rickbeato.com, and that's where you can find my complete Beato method for $109 on my website, rickbeato.com. And then I have shows, I'm going to tell you where they are, over in Europe coming up. You just click on my website, Tickets for World Tour. I'm in Berlin at the Punchline on October 25th, Stockholm, October 28th, Oslo, October 29th, Helsinki, November 1st, London, November 3rd, and Dublin on November 5th. And during that time period, I will be doing interviews. I said that last week. Same thing. Interviews. Not to be confused. So all that stuff you can find at rickbeato.com. Okay. Is there anything else? I have a David Gilmour interview, my second interview that I will be releasing, I think on Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. I have a short that I'm going to put out after this, right after we finish the live stream. I'll put it out, give you kind of an idea for it, but it's a really in-depth interview where David's playing guitar and demonstrating stuff. We're talking about Pink Floyd. We're talking about his solo records. He's playing with all those. He's got all those effects and everything and showing me all this stuff, some secret stuff that you may not have seen. And it's very fun. I actually asked him, I said, now, David, is there something in here that I'm not supposed to see? You'll see it. It's in the short. It's pretty funny. I think it is anyways. Okay, so I want to talk about kind of how I think about the guitar neck and some strategies that I have for learning it. Some of the things that I really didn't do, honestly, before I took my 25-year break or whatever. I don't think I played anything other than my band Billionaire, which had very few guitar solos. Most of them were parts. I played my last real guitar gig in 1991. Then I didn't start really playing guitar again until 2016 when I started my channel. And I kind of had to relearn from scratch. I knew the guitar, but I had all these ideas that I thought about along the way, but I had never practiced. Kind of a new way to visualize the guitar. And all the licks that I knew way back, from when I began in 1976 to 1991, I'd basically forgotten all those. So I kind of had a great chance to reinvent how I see the neck. And that was actually really instructive. And I always believe that it's not only good to learn patterns. Patterns are incredibly important for visualizing this stuff. Okay, hold on. Somebody says I already had the ear training course. Thanks. Bought the bundle to get the rest. Thank you, Calvin. Appreciate that. So the patterns are important in order to learn the neck for soloing. And when I say patterns, I talk about, you could talk about the pentatonic scale, for example. If I am playing the pentatonic scale, let's say A minor pentatonic here. Now everybody knows that fingering there. Most people do. There are 5 fingerings based off that. We've talked about this a million times on here. That's the position before this one. That's A minor. That's the, if this is the first position, then there's a second position, third, fourth, fifth. There's 5 notes of the pentatonic scale. There's 5 positions of the pentatonic scale. There are 7 notes of the major scale, and there's 7 finger positions of the major scale. But how do you actually find where these things are? Well, if you don't know where the notes are, like if I'm saying, okay, this is A minor pentatonic, and I know the note is A there, and if you play an A power chord, you would know that was A, especially if you were learning a song and you figured that out. But this is note A, that's note A, that's note A, and that's a note A. Well, how do you find where those A's are? Well, once again, what I like to do is I like to take little fragments and connect them. So I might do something like this. If I'm going to learn these pentatonic scales, I'm going to look for, I'll take the first few notes of the scale. So I take the first note, really the second note, but it's first, the flat, third, fourth, and fifth. And then I go up an octave. I play the exact shape, 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1. Then I go up an octave. And I'll play the exact same thing up there because I start to recognize. I start to recognize that shape is all over the fingerboard, and I start seeing now what I did there is I added 1 note to that shape to connect those positions. And if I'm going here, well, if I just add that note there and I restart the position here, and then so what I did was I played 1, 4, 1, 4, 1 to that note G, and then I move up 2 frets and I play the exact same. Then I move up 2 frets. And that will help me connect those positions there. And then I can start to see. It will help me connect those positions. And you can really do that with anything. If I go before that position and I use a couple notes from this. Now, many of you know that shape. Now, that particular shape, it starts out right behind this. But really what I'm doing there, I'm doing this shape. I'm doing it here, doing it here. And I do 1 connecting note, connecting note, connecting note, connecting note. Right? To me, that's a beautiful, it's a great way to learn these things. It's just to take these little fragments. A lot of these are just 4-note fragments with a connecting note there. So, Elliot, your dad really hammered the pentatonics as a pianist. I knew Elliot's dad very well, who was a brilliant composer and jazz pianist, and one of my professors at New England Conservatory, William Thomas McKinley. So these pentatonics here are similar to the major scale in that you can use these same principles to shift positions. So one of the things that I like to do, let's say even before we take the major scale, let's just take some just basic triads, okay? If I take a D minor chord, and I think of, so I'll take D minor here. I'm going the fifth. I'm going fifth to the root to the flat third. Fifth, root, flat third. It's the same. So that is D minor, right? Fifth, root, third, fifth, root, third, fifth, root, third. Same shape. If I wanted to do D major, fifth, root, third. That is a great way to shift positions, to find those notes, right? So if I want to climb and play, if I want to move from position to position, if I'm thinking like, okay, I'm going to go D minor into D minor pentatonic. So I want D minor arpeggio. I went from the D minor arpeggio into the D minor pentatonic. But I'm using these shapes, these repeatable shapes, in order to move across the fingerboard in any different, with any different shape that I can do. Now, these same things, right? So I'm always looking for these repeatable shapes. Let's say I want to play A major. So I'm thinking A major here, root, third, fifth, root, third, fifth. So I'm going root, third, fifth, root, third, fifth, root. I added a ninth in that. I did it, that was an A add 9 arpeggio. 1, 2, 3, 5. John Coltrane uses that in Giant Steps. So if you're going, he uses these little patterns. 1, 2, 3, 5 on B, D7, G major 7, B, B7. To E flat major. Okay, so all these ideas are you can find in my course that I have going with the sale going through Monday, Memorial Day, so 2 more days left for $109. You can go click over to rickbeato.com. You get my complete system, all 6 courses for $109. It's about 20. It's about $20 a course. It's actually a little bit less than that. It's a great deal, if I do say so myself. Aaron just posted it in there. Mike just put it in there. It's 6 courses. The Music Theory for Songwriters, the Beato Book Interactive, the Beato Ear Training, the Arpeggio Masterclass, Beginner Guitar, and the Quick Lessons Pro. See, I've got them all committed to memory here. They all do a different thing, but there is some overarching ideas in here, and one of them is that you need to develop your ear along with all this stuff. That's probably the most important part of it, along with getting stuff under your fingers. It's one thing to get things under your fingers and memorize patterns. It's another thing to be able to hear what you're doing. Steph says Rick starts casually playing John Coltrane. That's Giant Steps. For those of you that are jazzers at all, that's John Coltrane's song Giant Steps off his record entitled Giant Steps. Beautiful song that he recorded in 1960 for Atlantic Records. Tommy Flanagan on the piano. Tommy Flanagan, he basically threw the chart in front of him. He's like, all right, here we go. I've been practicing on it for 3 months. He didn't say that. Put it in front of Tommy Flanagan. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not quite that fast. Countdown is that fast, which is also off that same record. Anyhow, why do I know these things? Because I studied guitar, I studied jazz for forever, and that was one of the things. That's a rite of passage to be able to play these things. And, you know, frankly, Giant Steps is a great example of learning these little fragments like this, scale fragments. And those patterns, they used to call these things digital patterns. I don't know what that means. I think this means like getting under your digits, but those, when I'm doing those little fragments, I'm doing 1, 2, 3, 5 on all the chords. B major, D7, G major, B flat 7, E flat major 7. Okay, those are the different chord progressions in just the first couple bars of Giant Steps. It changes keys. It starts in B, then it goes to G major for 2 beats, then it goes to E flat major for 2 beats, then it goes to G major, back to E flat, back to B. Then it goes 2, 5, 1 in E flat, 2, 5, 1 in G, 2, 5, 1 in B, 2, 5, 1 in E flat, 2, 5, 1, and starts over again. That is Giant Steps. So I found that learning those patterns, I practice that stuff all over the place to learn where all these chord shapes are. Mark says, no one, this gets mentioned, but I actually think Quick Lessons Pro is your best work. So much groundbreaking stuff in there. Get it, people. There you go, Mark. Listen to Mark. Quick Lessons Pro. Because in my Quick Lessons Pro course, I introduce a lot of ideas like this. I'll talk about using, for example, on let's say you've got a minor chord. Let's say I got B minor. I'm going to play B minor 11 here. And I could play a B minor. And then I'm going to use the major chord a whole step below the root. So I'm using B minor arpeggio. And then A major. Beautiful together. So I went up B minor, then I went into A major. I did A add 9 there. Beautiful. I just love that sound. I'm just using those 2 arpeggios, B minor A major. I can add an extra note in there. I added the ninth in there. I could add the sus4. That's an add B, A add 4. Love that sound. Beautiful. So that would be like a quick lessons. When somebody said, Mark just mentioned Quick Lessons Pro. So that would be, I would basically take a 30-second idea like that. If you got a minor chord, you can take the minor triad, minor arpeggio off the root, and the major arpeggio off the a whole step below the root, and you can play them together. Go up one, come down the other. And that would be a thing. That would explain it in 30 seconds. I demonstrated a few different times like I did. But in Quick Lessons Pro, what I do is then I make a whole lesson on it. So I would go on and I would talk about multiple applications of that, how to do that. Joel said he bought a Labor Day package. Started with a beginner course. What's the best way to practice completely new to the guitar? Well, if you're absolutely new to the guitar, Joel, I would probably start on the beginner guitar course and start learning it that way. And I would literally just follow along. I take those, the first basic chords that we learn. We learn chords like all the open, what we call cowboy chords: E minor, C, G, D, A. And with that, you can play a million songs. Put E major in there too, and A minor. Like Hey Joe. Hey Joe, where you going with that gun? So that is Hey Joe. Those are like your basic cowboy chords there. The Jimi Hendrix, when he was playing that, those are the chords he plays in there. Right? That's a series of plagal cadences. When I interviewed Brad Meldau on my channel, we talked about that because he had covered Hey Joe in his concert that he played in Athens the night before I interviewed him. And we talked about that. Dean said that, plagal cadence. It's a series of plagal cadences. It's like, okay, what is a plagal cadence? A plagal cadence is a 4-to-1 cadence, right? So it's like 4, C is a 4 chord in G, which goes to 1, but then G is a 4 chord in D, and D is a 4 chord in A, and A is a 4 chord in E, which is great because it teaches you all these 4-1 cadences and how to improvise over those. And but even that term, plagal cadence, that's part of my Beato Book interactive music theory course. It talks about plagal cadences, which are 4-to-1 cadences from the 4 chord to the 1 chord, and there's authentic cadences, which would be from the 5 chord to the 1 chord, regular 5-1 cadences. And it's great to learn how to improvise over these. Even if you just start, let's say I'm in A minor and I'm doing a 5-to-1 cadence, okay? Or 1-1-5, 1-5, 1-5. So if I go A minor, that's A minor then. Then I do E7. Then I... So what I did there is I'm just alternating those arpeggios. I'm going between those two arpeggios, A minor, E7, A minor, E7. Okay. That's how to practice things in chord progressions there. And all those things I cover in a few of the different courses. Um, okay, so how do you actually learn if you start playing more scalar lines? How do you connect them? Well, I basically do the same thing. I take the same type of fragments. If I'm playing in the key of G major and I'm here, so I go right there. I'm going 2 4 1 2 4 shift, and then so I'm thinking exactly the same way. The shapes 1 2 or 2 4 1 2 4, shift up 2 frets, and then 1 2 4. So I just was like showing you kind of how I'm visualizing these things. You can play. You can play the G major scale there. You can play the G major scale. There, you can play. There. 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 So I'm playing G major everywhere here, right? So you really need to know these things all over the neck. And how do I know them all over the neck? Because I've learned not only all the basic positions, but all the in-between things and learned how to shift between them, right? It's the same thing as when I'm playing A minor pentatonic. I'm going. So I'm. So I'm basically what I'm doing there is I'm doing everything. I'm combining those little triads. I'm just basically playing the A minor triad shape. Right, or here. I'm taking the same shape and just repeating it every octave, right? Or I'm connecting things. I'm connecting this stuff like that. Right, so I'm playing this position. There's my transition note into the next position. Transition note. So if you practice these things over and over and over, I remember when I practiced on my front steps when I was a kid. And when I first started the guitar, I had chops immediately because I played the cello already. So when I was learning, I'm trying to think what's a thing that was difficult to play. That's Carry On Wayward Son. Anything that was riff based. Long Distance Runaround by Yes, or I'm trying to think what is a hard thing that I could play right off the bat, because I was used to moving my fingers in the same shapes on the cello and on the bass as on the guitar, because the finger spacing is pretty much identical, and then the strength that I had from that really transferred to the guitar, and I made my left hand much stronger than it would have been as a regular beginner. The other thing was that because I played a non-fretted instrument first, it developed my sense of pitch a lot better Playing the cello and the bass is the best ear training. And that is really, I think that's because I had to learn how to play on an unfretted instrument, on a fretless instrument. It really helped develop my ear. And I had a great ear off the bat. Just, I naturally have a good ear. And so when I picked up the guitar, when I came to learning songs, I already had the chops to learn single note stuff. That's the stuff that trips people up the most. That's what I think that, when you're learning a guitar solo, for example, if you're learning Stairway to Heaven, in order to play that, there's a lot of things you have to know, right? You gotta know how to bend. You gotta know, well, how do you bend without, and getting no other strings ringing, right? And you gotta know about pull-offs and hammer-ons and things. Oh, there's F Natra there. In order to do that, you got to be able to hear the stuff. You got to recognize when there's hammer-ons and pull-offs. You got to know how to bend a note in tune. There's so many different things, but having that finger strength and finger coordination just to move the fingers and the correct fingers at the right time and then combine it with this hand, that's very tricky for people, right? So that's why I really developed this system that's in my Beato Book Interactive, in my Quick Lessons Pro. It's in all my guitar courses, is developing, figuring out the best way to learn where these things are and how to play them and how to get your fingers moving, right? How to get both hands coordinated, when to use pull-offs, when to use hammer-ons, when to pick every note. You got to really, and then recognize what all this stuff sounds like. And that's probably that's the trickiest thing of all this was to actually learn that and teach this to people. So the ear training course, I think, is the one that it's great to learn all this stuff, but without the earpiece, tough. It's tough to really improve. So that's the one thing out of these 6 courses. That's the one thing that I would get on and I would stay on and I would hammer it every day, those ear training stuff. Spend a few minutes a day. Matt has a great ear. You can tell when it's in tune, 8/440 not, but I have a hard time multiple run notes at high speed. Yeah, that's stuff where for me, I did a lot of just playing. I mean, I learned off records, so I had to be able to pick it up fast off of it. And that's where the ear training course is really helpful. The high-speed runs is just working on your intervals. And I go through many exercises. I mean, my ear training course goes through all different modules of exercises, how to figure out stuff like that. How often do you do shows nowadays? The Darkness in Atlanta, how often do I go to shows? I go to shows very occasionally. I actually went to a show last night. I took Layla to see Men I Trust, which was great. It was at the Coca-Cola Roxy here. Great show. Met the band before the show. Oh man, they're a really good band. If you don't know Men I Trust, you should check them out. I would say they're they're an indie band. They're from Canada. I think they're from Montreal. They're French Canadian band. Really good, great songs, and it was a huge crowd, and they really sounded good live. So, Dean, when I played the Bach piece, that was great. Can you tell us any more of classical pieces that tears your heart out? I'm going to make some more classical videos, Dean. You know, I don't make them that often. Every time I make a classical video, they do really well. And it's nice when I can find things that are not kind of run-of-the-mill. The Bach piece was one. that a lot of people don't know. It's very early. First, I thought it was from 1705, but some of the things that I looked at later said could be 1707, 1708. But anything before 1715 is incredibly early. There's not a lot of Bach's music that's from that time period, and that was absolutely beautiful. Blew me away, blows me away. Anyways, we'll talk more about that. I'm going to just announce one more time the live shows I have coming up. Because it'd be great to see you guys. I only have 2 shows in the U.S. I do shows every couple of years. I don't know if I'll ever do any more after this. But I have a show on September 11th in Nashville. If you're anywhere near Nashville, if you want to make a little road trip, I'll be at the Vanderbilt Blair School of Music at Vanderbilt University. And then September 25th in San Francisco at the Presidio. Tickets you can find on my website, rickbeato.com, where you can also find the Labor Day sale. Then I have shows coming up in Oslo, Stockholm, Helsinki, Berlin, London, and Dublin. And they're all on my website as well. You can get tickets there. Keith says that she knew secrets from the intro. Da, 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 da. As soon as I sang that, she's like, I know that. That's Alan Holdsworth, City Nights. That's actually a Gary Husband tune. Beautiful tune off the Secrets album that has. I made a video of that one lick that Alan does. That Vinny Colaiuta told me. He goes, "You mean the one that sounds like a rocket ship taking off?" And I said, "Exactly. It does sound like a rocket ship taking off." Anyhow, you guys are amazing. Hope to see you in Nashville or San Francisco or over in Europe in the fall. You guys are great. Remember, the Labor Day sale goes till Monday at midnight. 2 days left, whatever that is. Maybe it's goes through Monday. I can't remember. You can find it at my website, rickbeato.com. You guys are awesome. We'll talk. We'll see you guys later. Take care. Have a great rest of your weekend.